Here's what I think. Strickland is going to get in his head, force him to go crazy early on. His plan is to defend, get him tired, and then start to turn on the
Khamzat Chimaev didn't just step into the gym, he detonated like a bomb. The new footage of his brutal training camp with Arman Tsarukyan shows a man possessed, a force of nature that looks ready to tear through Sean Strickland without blinking. Every rep is a scream, every transition is a war, and the intensity has reached a point where even his coaches are stunned by the sheer violence of his preparation. This isn't just a fight camp anymore. It's a calculated demolition project aimed directly at the heart of the middleweight title picture. The explosion of energy in the room is palpable, leaving fans wondering if Strickland has any answer for this version of Boers.
Arman, I gotta ask you this. The thoughts on Khamzat Chimaev here again for his second camp. You were so part of the first camp, him going to get the title against DDP. Now he's doing the second one here at Jackson and Santo. You guys have had amazing relationship. We see all these videos of you guys training at Santo Performance Studio, training at Coach Cal's, you know, on the bikes. Talk to me about training with him. I know he's bigger than you. I know he brings in a lot of different guys, but the energy, the training, the sparring, what's it like?
I mean, Khamzat, he's a hard worker, and so now he's a UFC champion, and it's good when you have like this sparring partner, friend, and who can show you and tell you something, and like we share like our experience and grow and
The partnership with Arman Tsarukyan has sent shockwaves through the MMA community as two of the most relentless grapplers on the planet join forces. You can see them grinding through the burn, pushing past the point of exhaustion while the clocks tick down in a blur of sweat and aggression. It's a terrifying sight for anyone in the division, especially considering Tsarukyan's own reputation for being an unstoppable machine. By bringing in elite-level talent to push him, Khamzat is signaling that he isn't just looking for a win, he's looking for a total eclipse of his opponent's skill set. This specific preparation is designed to ensure that when the cage door closes, there is nowhere for Sean to hide.
Strickland, Duplessis wants a rematch. Chimaev's going to leave the division. He's going up to 205 pounds. Like, it's just been really hard to get any level of clarity. So now Chimaev is back to training. Khalil Roundtree goes out and trains with him. It was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredibly difficult looking push yourself videos that were coming out. And a lot of the rumors were true about Chimaev's size. You could tell he was a big guy. I don't know that I would dispute the rumor, but it is still a rumor that he wanted to go up to 205 pounds. And not go up to 205 pounds because of Pierre or to become champ, because he didn't want to go back to 85. Like, he looked big and he looked good. So now you got Strickland, who's been given the opportunity.
Dricus du Plessis recently threw a massive wrench into the narrative, claiming that Sean Strickland might actually have the edge on the feet. It's a bold statement coming from a man who has shared the octagon with the elite, but it's a claim that many are struggling to digest. Dricus suggests that while Khamzat is a nightmare on the mat, his striking remains a massive question mark that could be his ultimate undoing. If Sean can keep this fight standing, the dynamic shifts entirely, moving away from a wrestling clinic and into a realm where Strickland's awkward, stinging volume could become a real problem. The debate is heating up. Is Khamzat striking a hidden weapon or a glaring weakness?
The first time you go with this guy, you think he's a wrestler. When you don't know anything about him, and you haven't met yet, and you just feel him at the end of the workout, you think he's a wrestler. Trick has talked about how hard he was to take down, talked about he's even harder to keep there. And it's a very interesting concept. I mean, Dricus went as far as to say that he thinks that Sean's got a very good chance in the fight, and he said in a stand-up realm that Sean is much better than Chimaev. Now, I would challenge Dricus on that, but I would challenge him very respectfully, like as the former champion who's been in the ring the better part of 75 minutes with these guys. He has the right to his opinion, but it did surprise me. Like, what do you mean meaning Strickland? What do you mean he's meaningfully better in the striking than Chimaev? Where did you test?
Chael Sonnen isn't buying the hype around Strickland's supposed striking superiority just yet. He points out a massive hole in that logic. When have we actually seen Khamzat's striking truly tested over a long duration? In Chael's view, the unknown factor is exactly what makes Chimaev so dangerous. You go in thinking he's just a wrestler, you prepare for the takedown, and then you get hit with power you didn't expect. It's a psychological trap that has caught better fighters than Strickland before. Chael argues that until someone survives the initial wrestling onslaught, onslaught and forces a stand-up war, assuming Strickland is meaningfully better on the feet, is a gamble that could end in a fast knockout.
I know Imamov and Khamzat kind of don't want to fight each other. I'm not really excited for that fight. Not a lot of people are, but the Strickland fight, I believe I faced Strickland. In the striking, he definitely beats Khamzat for sure. Khamzat, a problem to deal with when he has you on your back. We've seen that many times. With Strickland, what he does brilliantly, I took Strickland down, I think 7 times. The way he gets up to hold him down is incredibly hard. At Extreme Couture, where they train, they specialize in that cage wrestling, getting back to his feet. And Strickland's a lot stronger than people might think. I think he has a very good chance in that fight.
The contrast in styles between these two is reaching a boiling point as the fight draws closer. On one side, you have the chaotic, high-velocity pressure of Khamzat, a man who wants to finish the fight in the opening seconds. On the other, you have the strange defensive shell of Sean Strickland, who thrives on frustrating his opponents and making them miss. It's a classic clash of a hunter versus a survivor, and the training footage suggests the hunter is sharpening his teeth like never before. Every exchange in the gym is a rehearsal for a moment of impact that could end the fight instantly. The tension is building because everyone knows that one small mistake from either man will result in a disaster.
Strickland or Chimaev? Oh yeah, Strickland is fighting. That fight doesn't really make sense, does it?
Nah, not really.
Because it's just a grappler versus a...
Grappler versus striker. Yeah. Strickland's gonna get taken down and beat up.
It's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad. Khamzat's gonna beat him up pretty good.
Oh my god, well, you don't like Khamzat?
Nah, I mean, we were supposed to fight at one point, and
Damn,
he was
you're
at
supposed to fight
170.
everyone, bro.
Yeah. And, when I was in my prime, a couple years ago, he was at 170, so they were trying to set us up to fight, but it just never materialized.
Colby Covington, never one to mince words, thinks the entire conversation about a competitive fight is a joke. He's gone on record saying that Khamzat will run through Strickland with ease, treating him like a sacrificial lamb. To Colby, this isn't a stylistic puzzle. It's a physical mismatch where one man's strength and aggression will simply overwhelm the other. He believes that once the fight hits the floor, the skill gap will become painfully obvious, and Strickland won't have the tools to get back up. It's a brutal prediction that reflects a segment of the MMA world that still views Khamzat as an invincible force that hasn't even reached his final form yet.
Has Sean Strickland ever fought a really, really strong wrestler?
I looked through his resume and he has not.
Not really fought a strong wrestler, but he's known for having really good grappling, really good takedown defense. But there's just different fucking levels of grappling, and Khamzat is at the highest level. Like him and Islam are the two. They're just so dominant in that aspect. Sean Strickland has great cardio. He's gonna show up ready to go. The question is, can Khamzat keep the pace of... He kept the pace against DDP, but he was able to take him down early and literally hold him down the whole time. That is fatiguing. He was able to do that. But what's more fatiguing is taking someone down, they get up. Taking someone down, they get up. You took him out 3-4 times in a round. That's going to start to wear on Khamzat. If Sean can get up, and that's going to be the question mark there. I feel like Khamzat's going to be able to get a hold of him. He's going to be able to take...
Interestingly, Colby revealed that he and Khamzat were supposed to settle their own differences in the cage years ago. Back when Chimaev was tearing through the 170-pound division, the UFC was allegedly trying to set up a showdown that never materialized. Colby claims he was ready, but the fight just slipped through the cracks of politics and timing. Now, as he watches Khamzat prepare for Strickland, there's a sense of what could have been hanging in the air. This history adds another layer of intrigue to the matchup, as the ghosts of past rivalries continue to haunt the narrative of who the real king of the mountain is in the middleweight landscape. Bo Nickel and a panel of experts are leaning in the opposite direction, pointing towards Strickland's incredible cardio and defensive wrestling as the keys to an upset. They note that while Khamzat is explosive, he often burns a lot of fuel in those early scrambles. Strickland, meanwhile, has a gas tank that seems to never hit empty. If Sean can survive the initial storm and keep the fight in the later rounds, the momentum could swing violently in his favor. They argue that nobody has ever truly held Sean down and kept him there for an extended period, which makes him a uniquely difficult puzzle for a grappler who relies on quick submissions and dominant control. The weird style of Sean Strickland is something that even his biggest critics have to acknowledge. He fights with his hands up in a way that blocks vision and leans away at angles that make him incredibly difficult to hit cleanly. This defensive shell isn't just for show. It's a calculated system designed to make opponents overcommit and tire themselves out. If Khamzat falls into the trap of swinging wildly to find a home for his power, he might find himself punching air while his energy reserves plummet. The experts believe that if Strickland can keep his composure and march downhill, he could turn the boar's explosion into a slow, agonizing fizzle. Sean O'Malley has stepped into the conversation with a fascinating take on the levels of grappling involved here. He admits that Strickland has great takedown defense against standard wrestlers, but he emphasizes that Khamzat is on a completely different planet. He compares Chimaev to Islam Makhachev, stating that there are efficang levels to this game that most fighters simply haven't experienced. O'Malley's main concern for Strickland isn't just getting taken down once, it's the exhaustion that comes from having to do it over and over again. It's the constant threat and the physical toll of the struggle that breaks a man's spirit long before the referee steps in to stop the fight. The fatigue factor is the silent killer in this matchup. According to O'Malley, taking someone down is hard enough, but taking them down, having them get up, and then having to do it 3 or 4 more times in a single round is a recipe for total burnout. If Strickland has the get-up game that his coaches swear he does, it creates a high-stakes game of chicken. Who will tire out first, the man struggling to stand or the man struggling to keep him down? O'Malley thinks this cycle of scrambles will be the most fatiguing part of the entire fight, and it might be the one thing that can actually slow down the Chimaev locomotive.
Eric Nixick, Strickland's longtime coach, has a unique perspective because he's actually seen these two train together before. He views those past sessions not as a defeat, but as a massive learning opportunity. By studying Khamzat's techniques and ground control up close, the team has been able to build a specialized blueprint designed to exploit the small openings in his transitions. Nixick isn't intimidated by the highlight reels, he's focused on the data. He knows that having Khamzat in the gym pushed the entire team to improve, and now they're ready to use that same intensity against him when the stakes are at their highest.
Confidence is high in the Strickland camp because they believe they have the durability to weather any storm. Nixick points to Sean's relentless pace as his greatest asset, a weapon that only gets stronger as the fight goes on. The plan is simple but difficult. Force Khamzat to constantly reset his wrestling and never let him get comfortable in a dominant position. Over a 25-minute championship fight, there is plenty of time to make adjustments and find a way to win. Nixick is betting on the fact that Strickland's awkwardness and toughness will eventually wear down even a fighter as explosive as Chimaev, turning the fight into a battle of wills.
Aljamain Sterling sees this as much more than a physical battle. It's a psychological war. He believes Strickland's best path to victory is to get inside Khamzat's head and force him to fight with emotion rather than strategy. If Sean can frustrate him early, make him miss, and talk trash in the middle of the exchanges, he might bait Khamzat into overextending. Sterling knows that when a fighter like Khamzat goes crazy early, they tend to hit a wall if the finish doesn't materialize. It's a high-risk strategy that requires nerves of steel, but it's exactly the kind of chaos that Sean Strickland thrives in.
On paper, Khamzat Chimaev is the more complete and terrifying athlete. His takedowns are often described as unavoidable, and his ground and pound is nothing short of clinical. However, Sterling notes that fights aren't won on paper. He points back to the Dricus Duplessis fight as proof that Strickland can handle high-pressure wrestlers and still find a way to land his own shots. The key is composure. If Khamzat can be pushed out of his usual rhythm and forced to fight at a pace he isn't used to, the invincible aura might start to crack. It's about creating doubt in a man who has never had a reason to doubt himself. The training footage of Khamzat isn't just about wrestling. It's about the raw, unbridled power he's putting into every single movement. You see him exploding off the floor, throwing heavy leather, and maintaining a pace that would kill a normal human being. This is a man who knows the eyes of the world are on him after a period of inactivity and health scares. He's training like he has something to prove, and that makes him more dangerous than ever. The explosion we're seeing in these sessions is a message to the doubters. The Boars of old is back, and he's evolved into something even more lethal. The middleweight division has never seen a clash quite like this. You have a challenger who treats every second of a fight like a life or death struggle, and a former champion who treats the octagon like his own personal living room. The mental contrast is jarring. Khamzat is all fire and brimstone, while Strickland is clinical, defensive, and strangely relaxed even in the face of danger. This clash of personalities is just as volatile as the clash of skills. When the cage door shuts, we'll find out if Khamzat's explosive preparation can overcome the sheer stubborn durability of a man who refuses to stay down. One of the most overlooked aspects of this fight is the sheer strength of Sean Strickland. While he doesn't look like a bodybuilder, his peers often talk about how deceptively strong he is in the clinch and on the ground. He's a veteran of the game who knows how to use leverage and weight to make life miserable for his opponents. If Khamzat expects to just toss him around like a rag doll, he might be in for a very rude awakening. This hidden strength could be the deciding factor in those crucial first-round scrambles where the momentum of the entire fight will be established. As we analyze the training footage, it's clear that Khamzat is working on more than just his power. He's working on his efficiency. The drills with Tsarukyan aren't just about mindless grinding, they're about precision in the transition. He's learning how to chain his attacks together so that there is never a moment of rest for his opponent. If he can bring this level of tactical fluidity into the fight, it won't matter how good Strickland's defense is. The sheer volume of threats coming at him from all angles might simply be too much to track, leading to a finish that could come much sooner than anyone expects. The stakes for this fight couldn't be higher. For Khamzat, a dominant win over a former champion like Strickland cements his place as the rightful heir to the throne and a true global superstar. For Strickland, a win here would be the ultimate I told you so to the critics who think his style is a fluke or that he can't handle elite grapplers. It's a career-defining moment for both men, and that pressure is exactly why we're seeing such an intense explosion in the training room. Neither man is willing to give an inch, and that's exactly what makes this a must-watch showdown. Every exchange, every scramble, and every adjustment will be a chess match played at 1,000 miles per hour. We're looking at a fight where the momentum could swing on a single well-timed jab or a perfectly executed double-leg takedown. The MMA world is split down the middle, with experts and fighters alike unable to agree on how this will play out. Will the explosive power of the Chechen Wolf reign supreme, or will the relentless, awkward pressure of the American standout prevail? The intensity of the preparation suggests that we are in for a war that will be talked about for years to come. Ultimately, the footage of Khamzat Chimaev's relentless sessions with Arman Tsarukyan serves as a warning. It's a glimpse into the mind of a fighter who has pushed himself to the absolute limit to ensure he is the most dangerous version of himself on fight night. Whether he's exploding through takedowns or sharpening his striking with a world-class partner, the focus is undeniable. This isn't just about sports, it's about a man trying to reclaim his destiny in the most violent way possible. The world is watching, the clock is ticking, and the explosion is only just beginning as we head toward the center of the octagon. This fight isn't just about who has the better wrestling or the sharper jab, it's about who breaks first under the lights. Whether Khamzat explodes early or Strickland drowns him in the deep water, we are looking at a historic collision that will define the middleweight landscape for years to come. Every scramble, every heavy breath, and every psychological blow will be etched into UFC history. Make sure you drop your predictions below. Who walks out the victor in this clash of titans? Don't forget to subscribe for all the latest breakdowns as we get closer to the cage and witness the fallout of this massive showdown.